Hi everyone, I'm going to do a post-mortem on the launch of my first video game on Steam. The game is called Alien Video Game Scientist. I worked on it for about a year in Unity, and I launched it on December 4th. So we have now had almost 2 weeks to see how it did on the store. So I will share my sales, I'll share my web traffic, how many people actually looked at it, and I'll share the reviews, and then I'll conclude as to whether or not this was a worthy way to spend 1 year of my life. So first, let's just take a real quick look at the so-called cinematic trailer, just so you have a sense of what sort of game this is. Alrighty, so that is the cinematic trailer. It may not be doing me any favors in terms of showing the game at its best, but it should give you a basic idea of what we're talking about here. Sort of a lo-fi retro minimalistic game with a lot of sort of Tron-esque visuals. That's basically a platformer collectathon with some mazes and puzzles built in. So, what happened? Well, I released on December 4th. And I got a couple of reviews from people who were curators. The price was $4.24, a discount 15% off of $5. And I'm happy to report that the curators mostly liked the game. So let's actually pause and read this one here. Alien Video Game Scientist is a fun speedrunner platformer puzzle game inspired by Portal and old school arcade cartridge gaming, but with a modern twist and a lot of meta humor. Worth a look. And that's, I think, a pretty fair summary of the situation. I have his review here, which was quite detailed. And then I have another one here, which was a little less detailed and a little bit less positive, but still pretty reasonable. I think, they picked up on the major strengths and flaws. I'm just going to read the first sentence here. Got a level with you. I was not expecting to enjoy Alien Video Game Scientist, and didn't expect to be as good as it is, but I got to the end so far in a single session, had a decent time doing it. Sorry if I misread that not perfectly, but you get the basic idea. So this one obviously a little bit less positive than the other one, but still mostly a recommended. So not a crap game, if not necessarily the sort of game that's going to set the world on fire. The question is, so what sort of results did that give us? So let's first look at traffic on the store. So this is the traffic on the store. The game, as I said, released on December 4th. So let's put our cursor here. So this is the day of release. You can see that the day before the release, traffic had notched up just a little bit, but basically I got a big bump on the 4th and the 5th, and then things started to decline. So prior to my release, I was getting somewhere between 100 and 200 hits a day, and then very quickly it appears that I'm going back to roughly that level of visibility. So the conclusion here is that if I'm going to sell any units set the world on fire, I'd better do it in that week after the launch. And this is interesting because Steam claims that you get a 30-day visibility boost after you launch. And that sure as heck doesn't seem to be the situation here. The visibility boost is clearly much closer to a week, which means that if you're worried about finding a good window to launch in, worry about that first week. Don't worry about the 30 days. Now, again, this is an early access release, so maybe I would have gotten more visibility if I had chosen to do a regular launch. And that might have been the right choice. I don't know that early access really helped me out any, but it's what I went with. So final slide, how many sales did I have? And, if you're the empathetic sort, get ready to cry a little bit. So here is the results of day one. You can see that I sold $8 worth of product, which equals 2 units. The lifetime retail units down here is because I also ran a Kickstarter. So those are people who got a Kickstarter key. This is just for the first day that it was on the store. but I can tell you that the total sales in the 2-week period is a total of 3. So I got 2 on the first day and then 1 after that. Total of 3 sales. Not very good. The wish list down here did go up, so it was 43 before I launched, and now it's about 80. It's still obviously kind of a complete bomb. Now, you can suggest maybe that it's because of the type of the game. Like I said, the people who've actually played it through to the finish seem to think it's actually fun, but of course those are the people who chose to play it, and they got it for free because they're curators. So again, you may hope that your result is going to be better than mine because let's say your game is more awesome. I think that the biggest flaw in my game, and we'll go back to it so we just have some more imagery here. The biggest flaw in my game is, I think, not the gameplay. It's actually pretty fun to play. Of course, that's my opinion. I think it's the visuals. Even though I really was into the sort of minimalistic Tron-like appearance, I think that people looked at it and didn't think that there was any real product here. And so I think that's why I had as many visits as I did, but only sold 3 copies. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if I sell any copies when I go out of early access. Maybe this will turn out to have not been a complete failure. I don't know. In any case, the real point is that launching a game on Steam is super hard. You aren't going to get a lot of sales unless you really work hard to market yourself. I sent review requests to 60 Steam curators, and I got a total of 4 people who actually responded. And one of them, I think, only opened up the main menu and looked at it and then wrote their review based on the main menu. Gee, thanks. But that also tells you something about how much of a market there is for this game. This game is a fairly niche market. That's pretty clear. So thanks for watching, and I'll include a link to the game if you want to go watch the videos or read the reviews in more detail. I don't want to necessarily make people think that they shouldn't try to launch a game on Steam. I'm just trying to give you the expectations here about how well your game is going to do. It's going to be a brutal challenge.